All right, John, thank you. Well, Oklahoma's new academic standards are facing a new legal roadblock. A new lawsuit is appealing directly to the state Supreme Court, urging the new social studies standards be overturned after a judge recently dismissed a similar lawsuit. Joining us now is State Superintendent Ryan Walters to talk more about it. Good morning, sir.
Thank you for having me.
Already got one lawsuit dismissed. What are your thoughts on this latest one that just came down?
It's just more nonsense from these radical left-wing groups. The reality is these are the best history standards in the country. Oklahomans know that their kids are going to have an incredible understanding of American history once they come back to school this fall. They're going to understand the role the Bible played in American history. They're going to understand American exceptionalism. It's going to be a patriotic education. And these Marxist left-wing groups hate it. They continue to sue us. There's nothing there. We'll whoop them again like we won the last lawsuit. So, but this is a who's who of every Marxist group across the country. So these are the most radical elements of the country fighting against President Trump, and they're targeting us, and we're going to continue to win.
Often whenever you send a memo or an email, whether it be at the school district or in a local business, sometimes, not everything gets implemented. How has been implementing this new program been on your end to do that?
Oh, look, it's been great. So we had an Inspire conference for all the teachers in Oklahoma last week. We did a lot of professional development around these new social studies standards. The history teachers love them. We're going to be announcing something in the next couple of weeks to help utilize all the resources and standards. We're happy to come on and tell you about that.
What's the announcement?
Hey, look, it's going to be something. Look at you, already pushing me on that. But what we're going to make sure is that teachers have the ability to utilize every resource, every standard, every professional development in a way that's very cohesive in the learning environment. We've been working with teachers all over the state on this, so we've got a tool we'll be rolling out in the next 2 weeks. But what we want is for every kid to have the best education possible. We've been fighting for what parents have asked for. They've asked for education without left-wing indoctrination. They've asked for academic excellence. They've asked for parents' rights to be protected and transparency in the classroom. That's what we're going to continue to provide for Oklahomans.
When will this translate into real results? We often talk about, being in the bottom 50 when it comes to a lot of academic standards. Are we going to see the fruits of this in the next year, 5 years, 10 years? When can we maybe get into the 30s or 20s maybe?
Yeah, absolutely. Look, we're already seeing the statistics starting to turn. And that's where, when I was elected, Oklahomans elected me to go turn this around. The teachers'
Which
unions.
Statistics? What specific statistics?
Yeah, we have a record amount of schools that have come off the F list. So nationally, we have 120 schools come off the F list.
True.
We saw in the latest NAEP rankings, Tulsa and Oklahoma City saw some of the biggest jumps in the country, put us in the top 30 for inner city schools. That's a big one. So we continue to see these statistics that are moving in the right direction. Remember, we now require data from districts every 2 weeks, so we can track within the school year, and we even tracked over the summer. So we can tell you how these summer school programs are working. We're getting great teachers to stay with our merit pay system. We've got great teachers to come into the state with the teacher recruitment. We are starting to see these things pay off. But again, we had an education system wrecked by the teachers union. We are moving it in the right direction. And again, parental involvement has been key. Our parents are great in the state of Oklahoma. And now that we've opened up the education system to bring them more involved, we're seeing dramatic success. And so you're going to continue to see that.
Now, you've often touted, putting the reins back in the hands of parents. What about those parents who want to opt out of some of these social studies standards or, the Bible being taught in school? What's your thoughts on that?
Look, that's up to the parent. I think that's a terrible decision. And, if you sit there and say, I don't like the American Revolution, so I'm going to make sure my kids don't understand it. I mean, that's silly. So the Bible played a role in American history. That's indisputed. It is the most read book in American history. It's the most cited book in American history. Every president has mentioned Bible verses in every speech that they've given. So when you look at all of that, you say, so you don't want your kids to know that. You just want to avoid that. Are you going to not teach them math? Are we going to not teach them science? I mean, that's an absurd position. But that's what you've seen out of the radical left elements of our country. They hate the country. They attack America constantly. They attack our values. And it's very, very unfortunate. But here in Oklahoma, we're going to continue to move forward with common sense, putting parents first, putting academics first, and you're seeing that pay off.
Can history not be taught without the Bible?
No, not American history. I mean, why did the Pilgrims come to America? Explain that without the Bible. Our
religious freedom?
Religious freedom from what? What religion?
Well, different form of Christianity. They wanted to do their
what's
own.
Christianity?
Their own form. Well, I mean, there's different forms of Christianity. They wanted to do their own. They wanted really just their own freedom. I mean, that's what I feel like the cornerstone is, not so much religious freedom, but just freedom.
Well, remember, it was a fight with the church in England. It was a fight over Protestantism. It was a fight that brought them here. That then you have the First Great Awakening where they go, if our rights came from God, why don't we have the right to vote? I mean, all of this is very important to understand our history of why did they put their lives on the line in the American Revolution to fight for individual liberty. A lot of those arguments started with a religious one that came from their understanding of what the Bible told them and instructed them and how they lived their lives. That's not saying everybody has to be a Christian. That's not pushing Christianity. It's just history. It provides context for students to understand America, to understand how we got to this point. And if we're going to continue to be a great country in the future, you have to start, I love Churchill's quote, of the further back you look, the further ahead you can see. You've got to understand the background, the context, our history, what made America great, and then we've got to have young people that can help us continue to be great.
Sir, talking about the country, you often talk about things that might not be in the realm of the state superintendent. You spoke on another local broadcast station here that when it comes to running for governor, that you would think about it. Have you thought about it? Are you going to be running for governor in 2026?
Well, listen, I'm honored and humbled. It's everywhere I go, people ask me and they tell me they want me to run for governor, and it's incredibly humbling, and we're looking at it. Of course, I'm taking that into consideration. You look at the candidates. There's no MAGA candidate. There's no candidate that supports President Trump's agenda, and I think that gets people really fired up. Our state loves President Trump. Every county here voted for President Trump, and Oklahomans want a candidate that supports that agenda. So look, we're taking a serious look at it, and again, I'm honored to be, asked the question and have people come up and say that to me, but it's something we'll be looking at and making a decision on soon.
When do you think? Give me a timeline. Next month?
That's probably a pretty good timeline there.
All right, I'll hold you to it.
Appreciate you.
Superintendent, thank you so much.